I know I am too.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 10,000 again. Happy Thursday. I am joined this morning. I'm Marissa Harrington on the Broker Support and Education team, and I'm joined this morning with Kim Anderson, obviously, also our Director of Education on the Broker Support team, and also Cindy Beckwith, who is on our Broker Support team. And this morning, we are talking about the buyer process from beginning to end. It is going to be just a quick run through of some things that you should be thinking about when you get a buyer for the first time. This is a topic that is important for agents, whether you're a veteran and you've been doing this a long time, this can be your refresher, or if you're a brand new agent and you're like, look, I just got my license. I don't know what to do when I get a buyer. Somebody calls me and they're saying they want to go see a house, then what, right? So 5-Star has tools in place to help you all to be the most professional that you can be. One of the things that we experience when we're talking to you all every day is we're seeing that there are some challenges that are coming up as you're navigating through this really busy spring market, right? And a lot of the challenges can be prevented by having a process and having a system. I think naturally as agents, we want to fly by the seat of our pants and just kind of go with the flow, which is awesome. And there's a time and a place for that, but you are running a business. Mm-hmm. And so we have this checklist in place specifically. And Kim, hats off to Kim for creating it. It's genius. It's genius. Okay. I use it to train and to onboard my folks. So on my team. So Kim, I just want to open it up to you first. What was the reason behind years ago you creating this checklist?
So this checklist might be, I have a long version that's 4 pages. I have a short version that's 2 pages. I have a pending version, but I created this, and the real story behind this was in 2001, when I got my license, I had my very first transaction before my pocket card showed up. Right? Those were the days. I'm aging, dating myself. And I didn't know what to do. I went out and I could get the business and I didn't know what to do. So I had to pay my mentor 50% of my hard work, who didn't help me a lot, but when she did help me, I had my pen and paper. I'm like, I'm never paying this again. So this form can save you if you learn the process of not having to maybe team up with another agent, which we recommend when you're lost, right? Because 0, 0, 0. So I'd rather give somebody 30% or 50%, but you get a lot of valuable information from that vendor or mentor, all their secrets. So that's my story. So even though these are a few pages, I have perfected them probably 50 times. And now I don't use the paper version. I actually use a program called Folio. Mm-hmm. And I put my checklist into there. I think you might use Folio.
Yes.
For those of you that don't know, you can have 3 transactions free at the same time. See if you like it. It's very easy. It's a couple $100 a year if you want to buy it. So I know when I work with the buyer, if you will get busy and you may only have 2 and you may have 10, you may have 15. It's real important that especially dates, like when's the earnest money due? When does my buyer make loan application? When did the 10 days start? Oh my gosh, how do you find that out? Cindy's laughing. How do you know? Right. How do you know?
No, I like a checklist.
There's so much.
Yeah.
You know what you do.
And I'm the type of person, I like it printed out and you can get in a habit, whatever works for you. But Kim, no, this is absolutely great.
Excellent.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to say, we're going to talk about the process. So the first thing let's start out with before we get to checklist is when we meet a buyer, I'd love to hear from both of you. My number one goal is to build rapport with that buyer. Mm-hmm. I always want to build trust.
Right.
I know we have forms we need to get signed. We have to show houses. We have to decide their portal, what are they looking for. But for me, my number one goal when I meet somebody is to build rapport. What about you two?
Yeah,
same.
It's a relationship business, and you want them to be comfortable with you. And like you said, have the rapport, because you're going to be helping them maybe make the biggest purchase they ever make.
Mhm.
Right, right.
And, for those of you that went to Ninja last week, you know that we talked extensively about the buyer process and the buyer consultation. And that's obviously what I use, but it's the same principle, is that you want to build rapport, because of the fact that if you have a specific system that you're using 100% of the time, and these people refer you, they know what they're referring. And that's another reason why systems are important. People
Right.
want to know exactly how you're going to treat the people that they send to you, right?
Yep.
Yes, perfect. And I know Ninja goes into a little bit more of the psychology behind it.
Mhm.
Mine are just checklists, but excellent.
It all
excellent
works.
trust. It all works, yes. So, and we're not going to get into the buyer consultation today, but then that's the next thing. We want to sit down with them. I know when we're running Zillow leads, we have a tendency to just meet them at the house. We're not going to get into all that today for time's sake, but we really want to get in front of them, and we want to sit down with them, find out what they're, build rapport, build trust, and we do that face to face. And then secondly, figure out if they've spoken to a lender yet. Are they pre-approved? What can they afford? Set the expectation about what's going on in this market, right? Appraisal gaps, escalation clauses, local lenders, all of those things. So it's
Yeah.
really important. Cindy, do you sit down with your clients every single time with your buyers? And what do you
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, I'm a face-to-face person, because I like you said, I want to build that trust, and I can get a better feel for what they're looking for. And like I said, it's a relationship business, but I like to get the information so I can help them. And then, like you said, Kim, familiarize them with what's going on in the market, because there's a lot going on in the market and it can be overwhelming. And I'll just do an overview of that, because sometimes it's just too cumbersome for somebody to understand appraisal gap and all that. But I'll touch on all that, so they are, it's not new to them when we write that offer.
Right.
Mhm,
And so,
mhm.
Kim, can you take us through, we know that the checklist that you created is pretty extensive, but would you be able to just kind of suss out some of the most important aspects of the checklist, and maybe spin it based on, the calls that we get, right? What are
Yeah.
what are some of the challenges that we are seeing on a daily basis when we're talking to agents and they're running up against challenges, and then coincide that with the checklist? Well, if you follow the checklist, you
Right.
wouldn't have this challenge, right?
Right, right. Yes, absolutely. So of course, the first thing we want to do when we sit down the consultation is we want to get all their information, right? That's pretty basic. You want to find out who is the person signing the contract and what kind of financing do we have?
Yeah.
Is it cash conventional? Is it FHA? Do you need closing costs? Do you understand what it's going to take to win in this market, which would typically be above asking price? Appraisal guarantee, right? So that's where I would start. And let's just go through each one, but please feel free to add in there if I've missed anything.
Sure.
But that's typically where I start, right?
Yeah, and that pre-approval process is important, because it could depend on what houses qualify for what loan program. So you don't want to show them a house that, if they're doing FHA financing and they're not accepting FHA financing,
Right.
or that, you can save you and your client a lot of time.
Right. And it's
Being
important to
prepared.
communicate that to them as well. This is why I'm asking you for this information. This is
Yeah.
why I'm asking you for your pre-approval letter, because it's going to help me. It's going to equip me to be able to write the best offer for you and know what kind of houses we should be looking at.
Yep.
Right. And especially, I have a house that's pending now, but as I walked around the house, we can't accept FHA with peeling paint.
Mhm.
Now, somebody
Right.
could do that dance and get that all painted, but why in this market, right?
Mhm.
And so I did not list FHA.
Mhm.
I'll give you a tip, my own personal preference. When I list a home, I do accept FHA on the MLS if it will pass it, and I'll tell you why. I use it to escalate my other offers,
Oh, sure.
right? I'm probably not going to take it, but you never know. And I hate to say that out loud, but pretty much we want conventional buyers in this market. But I take them, and we may. My sellers have taken VA, but
Mhm.
I do if I can add, I asked the seller, FHA, VA, but it does escalate the other offers. So that's just one little tip on that.
Yep.
And then from there, you know, we set our buyer up with the portal. We want to get what they're looking for. I personally tell my buyers, I'm going to make it wide. I would rather your portal be wide. First of all, there's not much to see. I'm trying to open their mind up to maybe they want a fence. I don't put a fence in my portal, right? They could maybe add a fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I keep it
Because that
bigger.
limits it a lot.
Exactly. And then also, you know, you have this consultation with them and you ask them, you know, what their wish list is. And you guys go through that whole thing, right?
Right.
Also
Yeah.
keep in mind, you know, when you guys are doing these consultations that sometimes people change their minds or they thought that something was important and then it's not when they see that dream house, right? So if you're cutting down the options, they're not seeing those things and you're reducing the amount of houses that you can look at.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick story. So I always tell them, I'd rather you see it and hit the delete button than not see it. So
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, I had a buyer who was looking for a very specific ranch with very specific pool, and they for sure wanted 2 full baths. They grew up with only 1 bath and they needed 2 full baths for sure. You know where I'm going, right? So the day JC calls me and says, I want to see 1, 2, 3 Pawnee Path, I go, I got nothing. Why am I not seeing it? It was a 1.5 bath home.
Right.
She bought it.
Yeah.
Right. She bought it. And I could tell another story. I had a buyer years and years ago running around showing him lots of houses. Back then we had lots of houses. And we went by this one house and she goes, I don't want to go in. So let's talk about ethics real quick when you're showing properties. Please, that seller has prepared their home.
Yes.
They have locked up their dog.
Yes.
They have cleaned profusely. They made it smell nice. They've had to go out and have coffee while you're coming. And personally, when an agent cancels and doesn't show up, I call them and say, please walk through that house, take a video, leave your business card, turn off the lights, right? And so this client didn't want to see it. And I said, you know what? Let's just run in really quick.
See it anyway. Right.
We made a commitment. I knew the agent on the other end. He would not be happy, which plus ethically, guess what house she bought? That one.
That house.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That house. She bought that house. So
that was me. I bought a house I was not really interested in. Okay. It was not anything that was on my list except the location.
Yeah.
But when buyers see a couple different houses, they may change their mind. You know,
Right.
once they see a couple things, their mind starts to work and they're like, oh, well, I guess that's not as important to me than this is and all that. So,
yeah.
Right. And I believe
Kim,
in, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just believe in seeing and feeling, and I like to get buyers moving. Just show them a few things because you need to put some vision in front of them and put options in front of them.
yeah.
Yep.
So Kim, what else is on this checklist that is super important, you think, to share? And we will be sharing this checklist with everyone so that you can take a look at it, print it out, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, Word doc, whatever works for you. I also use Trello, which is a really great resource. OneNote, I think, Kim, when I first started, I was using OneNote and put the checklist in there. So there are a lot of different ways that you can take this version of the checklist. Just have it somewhere that you have access to it so that you can take a look at it. So what else is important on that checklist that you want to lift up?
So one thing too, if you get it the way that you want it, and if you want an editable version, please email me. Don't find me on Facebook. Don't text me. There's too many versions coming at me. Email me and I will share it with you in view only. And if you make a copy, you can edit it and make it your own. Maybe like, I don't want that on there. Just email me. I can go find the share button, send it to you, and you can make it your own. One of our agents made it into a PDF and they put it right in Dotloop. That's their checklist. So, okay, so back to the idea. Yeah. But it's always like, I'm always changing it, right? So I just use Folio. I have templates in Folio and it works for me because with Folio, it goes right to my calendar.
Right.
So it's amazing. But all right, so on this checklist, of course, we get through showing the properties, which we have a whole live stream on showing properties, what that looks like. So we're not going to go there today, but we have our offer and now we are pending. So, and you'll see all of these things listed in the checklist. We have several things going on at the same time, right? So it's very important. I have agents come and go, what do I do next? Well, I'll ask them, let's think about it, right? So we have a pending property. We have several things. These are all in the checklist that are going on. First of all, we have to collect the EMD, right? So you have multiple things going on. We need to get the EMD collected. You could use the Earnest app. You could have your buyer drop it off. You could have them send it. Make sure you give enough mail time, right?
Mhm.
The second thing at the same time is going on is they need to make formal loan application.
Mhm.
So as a buyer's agent, I share that contract with their lender and let them know they're pending, right? Do you do that?
That way they know what's going on. Yeah, and they have all the information so things can get started. You don't want to have a delay.
Right.
Yep. Yep. So they'll reach out and they'll get that whole process going. And then at the same time, we need to schedule home inspections. How do you all, both of you do, I hear we need to always give 3. How do you handle your home inspections?
So we send a congratulations email. That's a part of our buyer checklist or
Okay.
pending checklist. So we send a congratulations email. We break down the whole terms of the contract. And as a part of that email, we have information where we're giving them, we actually have 4 now,
Okay.
4 recommended home inspectors. And we say, hey, let us know who you want to use. We can schedule that for you. And that way we can kind of control when the inspections are based on the rest of the calendar. So that's worked really well for us, and people trust us. There are times when folks use a different one, which is fine too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
Right.
we help them with that.
Yeah, I similar here. And you want to make sure, the other thing is I'm always conscious of the timeline on the contract. You have to stay within, if you write the inspection to be done within 7 business days, you want to make sure that you're within that timeline.
Right.
And and I always tell my clients, you don't have to worry. I'm going to assist you on every step of the way and keep you on time and all that with these timelines.
Right. And remember, so we have all these things happening at the same time with different deadlines, right? We have a 48-hour maybe for your EMD. You maybe have 3 days to apply for your loan. You have 10 days for your home inspection. So then after the home inspection, say we have the home inspection and we're ready on day 7, then we need to follow the timeline of whichever purchase agreement you're in. So in Kalamazoo, it's 10/5/3. But if I send that inspection on the 7th day, the 5 days starts. You don't get it starts. You don't get the rest of the 10, right? So it's really important. One thing that I haven't mentioned is first thing you need to do when you go pending is submit your loop for review. Yes. And that has a couple things on there, right? One is the BA needs to know it's there. And if you don't submit it, they don't know it's there. What we recommend is you get all your documents in order that are all signed and archive anything that's unsigned or not applicable. It makes our lives so much easier. Why do you want to do that? Because if it's not done in the beginning, you won't be able to get paid on time because we will ask for all those documents, right?
Yeah.
Our job as supervision is to oversee that we have everything and it will delay you receiving your check. So if we don't know what's there, we can't even pay you, right?
Exactly.
The other thing is that if you choose Star Title, that gets your title work automatically rolling for you. So I really like that feature. First of all, Star Title does an excellent job, right?
Yeah, they do. Star Title is great.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's just one less thing that I have to do. The same when I choose a lender. Lots of lenders ask us, they come after our business and wants to work with them. And here's what I've said to them when I was a rookie agent or a new agent. Hey, I'll give you a chance. You do your job. I do my job. You take care of, I don't want to babysit you too. I want someone to help make my life easier, right? Same with home inspectors. There's just too many moving parts. And remember, this is probably the largest transaction for any person to ever make, right? Right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
So any thoughts?
What's one more thing? We're coming up on our time here. So what's another really important thing that is on the buyer checklist that our agents should be aware of?
Let me think. So we've got inspections. What am I missing here?
Got title.
Yeah.
Submit your loop. Those are all
Make
really
me learn.
important. Let's get to
Closing.
maybe let's get to the end. What is something that's really important toward
Oh.
the ends of a transaction? I've been
Yeah.
talking to some agents, some brand new agents about, all right, we got to clear to close.
Yes.
What do I do?
Yes. Okay, so one was going to be, if you've chosen a walkthrough, do your walkthrough. That's part of our agreement. I would never have my buyer buy a home without a final walkthrough. I
Yep.
literally come into a final walkthrough and found water all over the kitchen floor.
Yeah, because
So-
once they sign those documents, the home is
It's
theirs.
done. Yes,
Yep.
and we got that floor fixed by the next morning. So
Yep.
you want to know, but the last thing I think Marissa is referring to, are you talking about the HUD statements?
Yes.
You need your final HUDs and you need to review those, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you need to review those. And we didn't get into title work as deep as we'd like to. Same with title work. I know a lot of agents never
at
even
it.
open it. And then you get, we
Yes.
won't even go there. That's its own topic,
It's
right?
a whole thing.
Yeah, we should do one on that.
We should,
Yeah.
because that is 2 hours of a conversation.
Yes, yes. And Star Title does have YouTube videos on it.
Yeah.
It's very important to read that because you're going to get to the end and then you'll have to backtrack and not be able to close.
Right.
So that's its own topic. But the HUD statement, those final HUDs are important to review those
Mhm.
and look at those. What have you seen what are some of the common mistakes? You know, I always
Taxes
took,
miscalculated.
Yeah,
is
or
a
home
really big
warranty
one.
left off,
Yes.
home warranty may not be on
Um,
there.
Commissions are wrong. If your
No
admin fee is not
295.
on here. Mhm.
yeah,
I've had names wrong on them too. I mean, you just,
Concessions, sometimes if you negotiated concessions, and this is probably on your checklist, is when you get an addendum, send
Yes.
it to the title company, especially if it has to do with money, because
Yes.
how do they know?
yeah,
Right.
title company and
the
lender. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
And what I do on my closing file checklist, so say the home sold for 340 and we negotiated, so now we're going to be at 335.
Mhm,
I just put a / new price 335.
mhm.
I like to see what I started at, but
Right.
make sure that title can find that. Like you said,
Right.
share with your lender. If they don't know what's there, it's going to delay your process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Kim, any final thoughts about the checklist, the buyer closing from beginning, I guess, consultation to
Oh,
close?
Well, I would first say 20 minutes isn't enough. So
Oh,
look
for
at the
sure.
checklist. Yeah, there's all of these have their own segments in it. And I believe
Yeah.
you made some videos, hopefully coming out soon.
Yep.
Of each step. One thing about inspections, there are some inspections that are not included. One that I found is a chimney inspection.
Mhm.
It is not part of a normal home inspection.
Right.
Sprinklers, pool equipment. There are some things that
Right.
just aren't a part of it. Sewer scopes,
Water
right?
Yeah, sewer
water.
scopes, you have to write those in.
Yeah, and so I need to add that before
Well
I.
and septic.
Yeah, but there's well and septic. So there's a lot, but this gives everyone an idea. Is there anything that you all could think of? I know we could go on forever on this topic, but
Yeah. This was just an introduction, right? So
yes,
I think the first thing is just for folks to know that we have one for you. You
Yeah.
don't have to create one yourself. Kim already did all the hard work. So all you got to do is take it from her. Okay.
yeah,
And just
use it.
follow it. Use
Yeah.
it, follow it. Don't think that you know it all. Because the minute that you do, you've missed something, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
find the tools to be able to transfer this checklist to that or print it out like Cindy does, and just make sure that you have it for every single transaction so that you are being the utmost professional, prepared, well-equipped, right? To be able to serve your clients and get those referrals.
Yeah,
Right,
and plus
right.
you'll be more confident,
Right.
slow down, think about the process and you'll have the confidence and it'll get easier and easier.
Can I
Exactly.
tell you my one fear that I've had in my 21 years of selling is that I would miss an inspection deadline, and because I missed it, my buyer would have to buy a home as is. That's what my trainer put in me. That
Oh,
is, he was a little rough, but I'm a good
That's a
agent
big
because
deal.
of it.
Yeah.
And I would ask him a question. He'd go, "What's the contract say?" And I'd go, "Oh, well, I read it. That's why,
Yes.
And so read your contracts. I know sometimes agents think that we know these by heart, but
mhm.
we don't. I mean,
Yeah.
we read a lot because there's a lot of different contracts out there. So
Mhm,
read your contract, follow your timelines,
mhm.
be the pro. And I would like to say something else. When you're sweating, don't let your client see you sweat.
Right.
You get to lead the way. You want it to always seem seamless. We deal with the problems behind the scenes, right? And make it, I always say in closing is, I always say to my buyers, when I see you out at the grocery store, at the summer fair, wherever you are, I want you to say, Kim, this is the best purchase I've ever made. That's my goal, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Right.
have a lifelong client. It's really
Yes.
important. Just
Yes.
a little hint or a little tidbit on what you said, Kim. I take a book with me because my mind's always all over. You're being pulled in a lot of different directions, and write down things, and
Yes.
you'll subconsciously think about it, and you'll
Yeah.
have something in writing.
Or use
Yes.
the notes app on your phone.
Yes.
Yeah. Look at me.
what
I'm
I
old fashioned.
Same principle though. Well, thank you so much, ladies. This was wonderful. And again, the whole purpose of these 10,000 sessions are just to make agents aware of a lot of different things that they may not be aware of, give you tools, give you ideas, encourage you. That's the purpose of these sessions. So please remember to tune in every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. to get some tidbits. And you know, you can listen to this session in the car on the way to an appointment, right? Or
Yes.
on the way to a closing. So just tune in with us every week. We always have some nuggets for you. We appreciate you all. Remember, we are here as your broker support team and your education team to make sure that you are prepared and well equipped to be able to be the best agents that you can be. So thank you so much for everybody tuning in. Go out there and kill it and be the 5-star rock stars that we know you can be. Thanks, everybody.
All right. See ya,
Thank
everyone. Have a
you.
good
Bye,
day.
guys.